Hey guys, so today I'm reviewing Beyond the Gates Season 1, Episode 53, and this episode was interesting. Um, it still was a little slower paced, but it was still a little interesting. This is the first episode with Keith Robinson as Ted, and not gonna lie, it felt a little, but I do got to get used to it because this is his first episode. Obviously, the chemistry is not going to be there, and we're used to seeing Maurice Johnson instead. So seeing a new Ted, it's going to feel weird. So we can't judge off the first episode, you guys. Let's chill out, let's relax, take a breather, and let's just see from these next couple of weeks how Keith Robinson does. Obviously, it did feel a little weird, but this was just the first episode with him as Ted, so we just gonna have to get used to it. So the episode starts off with Derek and Ashley waking up out of bed, and there's still tension between them. Ashley basically tells Derek that he needs to leave because Naomi's coming over for a girls' night that they always have before Derek moved in, and Derek's like, of course, because how can they gossip about him if he's there? So he agreed to leave. So Naomi comes over and sees, well, Naomi's at the breakfast bar and she sees Chelsea and they're talking about everything that's going on. And basically, so yeah, Naomi and Chelsea were talking, they were catching up, and then Chelsea heads over to Ashley's house and they talk about Derek's situation. And Derek ends up meeting up with Jacob and they end up talking too. And they're just going through a lot right now. And Derek actually sees Ashley later on in the episode at the hospital, and he basically suggests to her that they get bigger space, like they rent out a house or get a bigger apartment. And Ashley's kind of against it for right now. She's like, I don't know about all that. So then Bill ends up giving Leslie a cease and desist, and Leslie's not having it. Leslie's pissed. Leslie is not having it. So then today is Eva's birthday, and Andre sees Eva, wishes her a happy birthday, and this and that and the third. And Leslie actually calls Eva over to talk about the cease and desist, and Eva's a little disappointed because she thought that Leslie was calling because she thought about her on her birthday, but clearly she didn't give a fuck about that. She only cared about that cease and desist. And she basically tried to convince Eva to go, since she's so close with Ted now, to convince Ted to drop the cease and desist. So then Kat goes over and sees Ted, and they end up having a heart-to-heart, and Ted ends up telling her that, yeah, he messed up, and Kat basically asked him if she was never pregnant, if Nicole was never pregnant with her, would he have kept the marriage? And he basically tells Kat it doesn't really matter because he still loved her regardless, because they didn't even know they were going to keep the baby because they kept having miscarriages, so it wasn't even a guarantee. And they basically had a heart-to-heart. She ends up hugging him. So then she ends up running into Chelsea, and they end up talking, and she comes to the realization that it was not a coincidence how Laura got into an accident, and then all of a sudden Eva comes and becomes Nicole's assistant. So they put two and two together, and they think Leslie and Eva are behind Laura's accident. So Kat goes over and tries to confront Ted about it and warn Ted. So Ted goes to see Bill about everything, and Bill and Ted are talking, and that's when Naomi comes in, and Naomi basically ends up, asking them what were they talking about and this and that and the third. So then Andre runs to Ashley at the hospital, and he asks her how things are going with her with Derek, and she said, oh, things are fine and this and that and the third, and we just moved in together. So then Naomi ends up going to the hospital to check on June. So June ends up having pneumonia, and she checks on June, and she gives her this picture that she ended up dropping, asking her who those kids were. And June's basically like, oh, I don't really know these kids, but it makes me feel safe and comfort. So then Kat ends up going to Ted's hotel room, and Ted is actually not there. Before that, though, Ted's actually talking with Andre, and Andre basically tells Ted that's Eva's birthday. And Ted's basically trying to see how to, make it right with Eva. So then Kat goes over to Ted's hotel room. Ted's not there. So then Leslie ends up knocking at the door, and Kat records the whole conversation. Basically, Leslie tells Kat that Eva was the one who ran Laura off the road, and she says, well, you have no proof in this and that. Little does she know Kat recorded that whole thing. So that's how the episode ended. So it was a pretty interesting episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 54.